I feel like as someone who grew up in, quasi poverty, like I'm still alive, so it wasn't that bad. But, we were always like one paycheck away from,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
destitution.
Mm-hmm.
I find, and I know what we're supposed to be doing right now is let go of money and build community, which I feel like I have been doing. It's like I let go of because I was so focused on having to make sure that I was never in that place that my family was in.
Sure.
Um,
Because it's dangerous.
it is. No, because you're not independent. It's you're dependent on other people,
That's correct.
and it takes your independence away. And I don't ever want my independence taken away. So I focused on, money, 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 like this theme song from The Apprentice. But, and I'm not rich because I'm not, but I'm not in the same position that my parents were in where they were broke all the time, living in
Right.
government housing, that
Right.
sort of thing. There was never enough food on the table, that sort of thing. So, um, but I still find it's hard to let go of that mindset of
Sure.
lack.
That's right. It's very difficult.
It's very, very difficult because you know what it's like to
Hmm.
not have enough.
Well, you're brought up with a belief that there's not enough. And that the reflections of your reality, especially when you're a young child, your reflections of your reality teaches you that there's not enough, and that's where that whole dynamic of the lack mindset comes from, and it comes from that whole dynamic of having to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? So is there a question involved in that dynamic? Because from our perspective, you gave yourself that in order to accomplish exactly what you accomplished. In other words, you moved from a place where money, where wealth, where whatever was very important to you, so that it was a singular focus. But in the dynamic of that singular focus, even though you were able to accumulate wealth, even though you were able to, what shall we say, create a dynamic of seeming safety for yourself, in fact, that underlying fear was always there because it was so deeply embedded in the dynamics of your psyche. Now, the way to overcome that dynamic is logic and reason. Ask yourself the question at this point in your life, is something really threatened? No, okay, something might be really threatened if the government went down and you couldn't have a paycheck anymore and something like that happened, but then everybody would be in that position and it wouldn't be just you, and everybody would have to come together in a certain dynamic of community that's going to create safety, because you can either create, and also when you're in a lack like that, you feel like you have to earn it all yourself. In other words, you lose that whole tribal or that whole community dynamic where everyone is supporting everyone else, and instead you've got to do it all on your own. And so it puts you in that singular mindset, which makes it 10 times as difficult to accumulate wealth than if you were working with a team, or you were working with others, or you could work collectively. It would, but because you weren't brought up within that dynamic, there is that, that always that brick missing out of the foundation. There's always that possibility of crashing and burning, and you know what it means to be hungry, and you never really wish to do that again, and it brings you back to all of the negativity and all of the angst of your childhood. You know, so that's the whole reason that that occurs, and it's certainly understandable. But it's also understandable that this is a dynamic that is you're able to move beyond it.
But what
And
I
in
feel
fact,
I feel
go
like
ahead.
it's faith versus fear. It's
Yeah, well, that's what you say to you if you examine
yeah,
the dynamic of the fear, and we would say to you, is there something really threatened? And you look at the dynamics of your reality, and the only thing that's threatened is an apocalypse. You know, is a
and we're
complete dynamic of
yeah,
collapse where everyone would be in that dynamic, having to face that same dynamic. Well, you know, it's almost like if there was an alien invasion. Everyone would come together in the face of the alien invasion. If there is a financial collapse, everyone will come together in the face of the financial collapse because there's certain survival things that you all need to do. You all need to eat every day. You all need to find clean water. In other words, and working together in that sort of way to do that, you know, it saves you from having to be a cowboy out on the range with you, your horse, and your gun. Well,
yeah,
but isn't that is you know that we're just talking about templates
yeah.
that exist. So if you look at that dynamic of your reality, the fact that you did not have enough when you were younger has made you somewhat of a prepper.
That I absolutely agree with that.
All right. Now, how many preppers do we have here? Did we at least satisfy a little bit of your curiosity? Here, it's a very natural dynamic in your world. We would suggest to you that, yeah, anywhere between 50 and 75% of the population has that same dynamic of of the belief that there's not enough.
No, and I totally agree with you. I just I think there was some people it's just so ingrained that in your head you believe that it's untrue, but in your soul, because it's been
Well,
there for so
but
long.
you've proven that it's not true. Each of the things that you have overcome in your lives, each of the things that you have moved beyond. That's all part of the dynamics of the wisdom and experience that you all hold about your lives. All you need to have is, and here's those words again, is discernment and objectivity. So if you look at that dynamic, then you can say, especially in a situation around lack, because what you're dealing with is a primal fear, a primal survival fear. All right, it gets you right down in the solar plexus there. It gets a very primal kind of survival fear that it can throw you back into those younger pieces of yourself that suffered that dynamic, and so you will perhaps relive the. It's at this point you need to use the Crandall technique, and well, but to will a different choice. You say, well, but really, I'm not suffering. I'm not really in any danger as long as things continue to be the way they are. As long as, I can say, well, tomorrow, if the world came to an end, well, then I'm going to come to an end. But today, I still have a bag of potato chips and a six-pack of beer. So it's all relative in that sort of way. It's all relative. You look at the dynamics of your reality, you have the freedom to go out between 5 and 7 to have a few drinks. That's freedom. That's freedom. It's not like you have to pinch your pennies in order to buy a can of beans. So
That's the truth. So true. It's the truth.
true. It's true.
It's true. It's true.
All right. All right, good. That's a good one. You took one for the team.